Hi, welcome again to Revero Health Success Story podcast. And my name is Brooke. I'm a coach here. And today I'm very happy to introduce Gregory Weiss. Is it Weiss or Wes, Gregory?
Weiss.
Weiss. Well,
And if you call me Greg or Gregory, either one's fine.
Well, I'm very happy to meet you. And thank you again. I want to thank you again for coming on and being willing to share your story with us about.
Well, I appreciate the chance too.
Well, good deal. So how long have you been carnivore, eating this way?
I've been carnivore now since I first started at about approximately 2 years now.
2 years. And what brought you to deciding to embark on that diet?
Well, because I had a laundry list long of different conditions and stuff that were showing up all at once, and basically getting no answers much how to help them. So just to give you an idea, the short list, I was pre-diabetic at one point there, a 126 sugar level, a 60 A1C. I had a bad aortic heart valve, forticular non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, just a mild case of it, but I still had cancer per se. I had a fatty liver, a chronic kidney disease, high blood pressure, was taking 2 different types of blood pressure medicines and a diuretic. And I found out basically as I studied this, leaky gut, and I was between 320 to 330 pounds. And I knew if I didn't start something, I would be dead.
So you were struggling with all these things. What was your diet like?
Basically, my diet was your basic, from a little kid, your junk food diet, very high on sugars. Used to be when I was in my teens, I was addicted to Coca-Cola. I had to have at least 6 bottles a day or get migraines and everything. The large percentage of my foods and all were all high in sugars and everything of that nature. I did eat some meats. I stayed in my meats all the way through my life, but there were too many negatives, too many other PUFAs and oils and so forth in the diet.
I see. So you're eating a lot of processed foods.
Yeah, a lot of process, this all came from the brainwashing of the 50s and 60s and everything, that especially with parents, they'd push you towards this stuff because they thought it was bad parents if they didn't. And if they fed you the normal foods, there was something wrong with that.
What you mean?
In other words, they pushed you towards the oils, they pushed you towards the margarines.
You felt
the advertisements, the TVs, the radios, the magazines, and all.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Marketing. There's lots of money.
So all of us, all of us were brainwashed. Even doctors of today, when they were young kids, were brainwashed at that time.
So you found yourself struggling and taking a lot of medications and had quite a few pounds. So when you started, did you lose weight right away, or what was that like for you?
Well, what I found, and I found most people, is you have some trigger that's keeping you from losing the weight. Mm-hmm. In my case, it was the diuretic with the baby aspirin at the time of the day I was taking it and everything was stalling the whole thing out. When I cut the 2 of them out, the first week I lost 20 pounds.
But you were also on some other pharmaceutical medications.
Yeah, right? The blood pressure medicines and all too. They weren't affecting me as bad. The trigger was those 2 and how they were being taken. But I started in eliminating them. Then I started in, as I studied more, because I was studying stuff to 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on the internet and on YouTube and everything, lectures, interviews, different people like ShawnBaker and other different ones. As I learned, I could slowly start cutting some of these out, but I started transitioning the diet. First getting things like definitely the oils out, getting things like French fries and stuff, which I loved and so forth.
Those oils,
Eliminating,
they're just the wrong oils.
yeah, it's a combination for the real, when you have the real problems, it's a combination. But they have to come out slowly out of the diet because you need to replace them with something naturally. Even if you go from a high sugar item, you need to replace it with a small sugar item and keep working your way down because
So
it's a withdrawal.
it sounds like you decided to gradually transition into this all animal food diet.
Yeah, because the first few months I was still learning about it. You know, I did see ShawnBaker on the internet, and since he was the same height and through about the same things, I started following Dr. ShawnBaker as one of the people. I've followed many other ones along and studied to, like I say, so many hours of it. And as the farther I got in, I was going more toward just the meats and just like for now, I just drink water. Water and a little extra heavy whipping cream stuff. But everything had to come in states in order to stop any withdrawal because you still have the want at these early stages.
So you were eating meat and drinking water. And did I hear you say water and heavy whipping cream?
Yeah, right now my only two liquids I drink is nothing else.
Just the cream.
The only two things I drink and I started through the diet were strictly water and a little bit of extra heavy whipping cream.
Did you enjoy transitioning to primarily meat? Were you eating eggs or?
No, actually, I've never liked eggs. Okay. Maybe someday I'll get there, but I've never have, basically. Right. But yes, I've always liked meat, but I ate a lot of hamburgers. Well, I cut out the buns and just started eating a hamburger.
Sure.
Then I went more into steak and stuff, and bacon and, a little bit of pork and chicken items of a nature. So there was never a problem where I disliked them, and I was never a heavy vegetable or fruit eater, but I did eat my bananas, my potatoes, and things of this nature, and chocolate. And one of my loves Butterhorns. I used to love Butterhorns a lot. So I slowly.
When you say Butterhorns, you're talking about the pastry?
Yes. Oh, I was buying packages of those like mad beforehand. So I've slowly had to transition that stuff. And when I finally went full carnivore, you might say, was when I cut out the last baking chocolate bars. I'd kept that as my last security blanket because you always kind of feel you need something to fall back on.
You mean baking chocolate bars? So you were eating plain
pure chocolate.
But
great. I used to buy Three Musketeer bars by the box.
All right.
And Twinkies and stuff of this nature through the years. So
you've had tons of processed foods and all those processed.
Oh, and tons of sugar and stuff. I mean, and how many oils?
All those nasty oils.
Yeah. And actually in some ways, I've never liked high amounts of straight sugar, the taste of it. But it was in so much of my stuff. And when I didn't know about it, I was eating what tasted good to me.
Of course.
And I worked a lot of stressful, long hours. So you're not resting properly. So you're just trying to throw energy in, even though you don't realize it's short-term energy and doing a lot of negatives.
Yeah, when we know better, we do better, I think.
Yeah, so now
you were teaching and you were teaching yourself and learning as much as you can as you're slowly transitioning. And were you feeling positive results immediately or did it take a while?
No, it was starting pretty much immediately because the weight loss, once I got over my certain short triggers, the weight loss was steady. It was about probably 1.5 to 2.5 pounds a week steady now because I had control
Mhm.
Before I didn't have control of the weight.
So
Um,
how much weight have you lost?
okay, I went from 330 pounds at my max down to 194. And I stopped it at 194 at one point because I wanted to give the body time to settle and adjust. Theoretically, I'd be skinny at 185. And at the moment, I'm sitting right around 207, just up a little bit because I'm doing a lot of work and I'm not getting the relaxation time as much. But I want to try to go back down to around 190 again to get rid of the loose skin and do stuff of this nature, which is easy right now because I'm controlling my weight within tenths of a pound, 1 to 2 tenths of a pound. Every day I can adjust it now.
And what are you eating?
Okay, my whole diet at the moment is, I mentioned the water, I mentioned the heavy whipping cream. I do, depending on the day and how busy I am, I do mostly ribeye steaks, all cooked in butter, and sometimes tallow and fat, depending if I'm using my searing oven or using a air fryer with a pan fry. Some pork, like a ham steak or bacon. Chickens, I might do chicken legs, might even eat a whole chicken, but not as much, because I found with the pork and the chicken, they go through my body at a slower rate than what beef does. And what I want is things to go through my body fast, clear out, get through the colon and everything to give the organs time to relax. They need their time to relax just like we do as a whole person. So efficiency wise, pretty much my normal day might be a steak, 80 to 100 ounces of water, possibly some heavy whipping cream. And most of the day I run on the richest French butter I can get that has the most fat and the most nutrients and all. If I'm going to eat something during the day, I'm going to eat only that because I mostly intermittent fast and only eat one meal a day. So I've found very good rich butter, and I've went anywhere from, I'm backing it down a little at the moment, but from about 2 ounces up to as high as 9 ounces of butter a day, which is just over 2 cubes of butter. And I can run perfect. My different blood tests and everything, the numbers look good. The only thing it's doing right now is giving me a little high on my LDL numbers, and the body's seeing, actually, I'm using too little amount of insulin. So the body has a tendency to think that you're insulin resistant, raise it just slightly. So at the present moment, I'm tweaking that down just a little bit.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I went in deeper than I'd hope most people would have to go to study it, but now it's to the tweaking stage, just like for Dr. Baker, where he's tweaking it for his muscle, different muscle building and exercise. I'm tweaking mine more for the health issue, because since I just turned 70.
How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling great. I would say 50% better than I've felt at any time in my life. I'm now instead of wearing 3X shirts and size 46 pants, I wear a medium shirt and size 34 pants. Got way more energy than I've had since I was in grade school, basically. I never wore this size clothes in grade school. I was bigger than that by the 6th grade. Because this goes back that far. It's just kind of giving you a history at the same time. But I do not lack energy. If I wanted to, say, keep eating a little butter steadily through the day and all, I can go for more than 24 hours. I have more energy than that.
Yeah.
I've had to learn to cut it back for my own good, let's call it.
And how is your sleep?
My sleep is real good. And I do something most people don't do anymore, which is I do segmented sleeping, which is basically you don't sleep all at one time. That came along with the Industrial Revolution at the start of the century. Before that, people slept in just packets of time, let's say, because you had to get up to go put the animals out, or the wife was getting ready to make breakfast for the husband who's out doing that. Then they would go back to sleep for so many hours and stuff. Then they'd get up again to do stuff. For me, I was up at 5. I went to bed last night between 12:30 and 1. I was up at 5 o'clock this morning, and for maybe a half an hour, then went back to sleep for an hour or so, then got back up again. And I sleep perfect. This isn't because I can't sleep. I can sleep right now at any time. In other words, if I wanted to lay down for 20 minutes this afternoon, I'd be asleep in a little bit, fine, but I'm never out of energy.
Have you always
And
been
that's
a
the
good,
amazing part.
have you always been a good napper? Some people are just good at it.
No, I'm terrible at it. Yeah, I used to be too terrible at it, and I was pretty much a night person. I had a heck of a time getting up in the morning or anything.
Yeah.
Just terrible. Now I got my circadian rhythms back and all. I keep certain specific times steady. A certain morning time I'm going to be at, and a certain evening time when I go to sleep, even if it's late. So there's no problem at all. I just have as much energy as whatever I want. And the interesting thing is too, I have no inflammation or pain. I don't have to eat if I don't want to. I have no, what people would call an appetite. I enjoy eating, but if I didn't eat for a day or two, it wouldn't matter. When I was in the hospital, I went on a 6-day fast. The food was so bad and everything, I just didn't eat right before the operation.
And can you tell us briefly about that operation that you underwent?
Yes, the one thing I was glad I waited on, normally on your chest, they'll cut out a piece of bone here to go in and put in a valve. By waiting, I was able to go to the new Edwards style valves, where what they do is they go through an artery down your groin and insert a special tool they have with the new valve part up inside the old valve. And it just expands into there. So I went through the whole operation, which took about an hour. The team was great that did the operation and all, and came out of it, no pain, no nothing, because I'd stayed to my diet. And the one thing I had, finally they allowed my wife to bring over some food to me the day before the operation. And I sat there and I ate a hot dog and a cube of butter before I went to the operation. But I had no pain or nothing out of that. Food-wise and the bed and all, that was nightmare and torture. But the new valve, it's close to an in and out situation. I came out the next day by 5 o'clock, then I was headed home. The day after that, I was helping my friend unclog our bathroom sink that gotten clogged. So I didn't even get to really do a whole recuperation or nothing.
Oh,
I was on the move from day one, you might say.
Well, I hope you're allowing yourself to recuperate now, because
I am trying the best. I've been going through yards and doing a lot of stuff, but I've had to learn that I have to give myself time to rest, only because A is the age, but your body needs a tremendous amount of rest.
Well, absolutely. They opened your heart, heart surgery. So yeah, you deserve plenty of rest to allow your body to get over that stress.
Oh yeah, and one thing I did learn out of that whole situation, the nurses, the doctors try hard, but very few, as I put it, know how to spell carnivore, let alone know what it's about and how to help you do your diet while you're in the hospital or anything else. It actually almost deteriorated my condition versus allowing me to eat what I wanted to.
And so now it sounds like you're eating juicy ribeyes. So that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I don't eat as much as Dr. Baker does, but I do it seems my sweet spot is between a pound to a pound and a quarter. I've ate over a couple pounds a day before, but a pound and a quarter, and it depends on how much butter I'm putting with it. And main thing, a lot of water too. A big key for me too, starting this was I had to take and find what made water taste better to me than anything else I could eat or drink. That was a key thing. Then I just craved the water. I didn't care about the ribeyes, everything else was good. The water was important to taste really good to me. Then I started drinking a lot of water, didn't miss the sodas, didn't do anything because I was diluting the bad things in my body. And I could make plenty of fresh, clean blood.
And do you use electrolytes now, or do you take any supplements at all?
I use the Fiji water, which has electrolytes to it. It seems to be enough for me. With the blood tests, I look at any possible things I'm low. I think
the Fiji water is the water with the silica, right? The natural silica.
It has some, I believe, in it. Yeah. It's worked out best for me. I was taking high alkaline waters at first, which tasted kind of good, but I started getting pain in my gums and everything. I went to my dentist and all because I thought I was going to need a root canal. It was nothing more than the high pH waters. The gums and nerves in there were reacting to it in a negative way. So I had to back it back down. I finally got down to Fiji's a really good one for me. And I've stayed pretty much on it. Not that there aren't other ones. I do take another water in small portions, which seems to have effect, but I can't define it exactly, but it's called H factor water. And it has extra hydrogen molecule to it, or deal to it that it can give up the oxygen in your system, get rid of some of the free radical oxidation. Oxidates, but it does seem to help. It does seem to help, but I can't quote put definitive things on it. Let's say.
And you haven't taken magnesium, or you don't get?
I do occasionally. Yes, I do. Right at the present, and it all depends on what I see in the blood test. For one thing, I am taking a magnesium pill at nights because seems to help a little relax, and it's got 5 different types of magnesium to it. But basically, as much as possible, I try to take no nutrients. Basically derive it from the meats, the butter, and the different items.
Do you use any organ meat?
Not really. I'm not that I wouldn't in the present.
510-533-2011.
But you probably used to that stuff. But basically, I'm doing very good on my nutrients. It was hard coming out of the hospital because they basically left me nutrient deficient in many ways. Because they only checked a couple. They were restricting my amount of water, but yet giving me Lasix. So it was draining my body of fluids, which was also draining it of the other items and not really testing a lot. So I've been basically since March kind of readjusting again. Before that, I didn't have any issues. I wasn't taking magnesium, wasn't doing anything. Now, one thing I would say along my transition into getting into the meats, more into the straight carnivore, I did about 4 little times pass out for short little half-second bursts because as I was getting off my blood pressure pills, now I was getting my blood pressure so normal it was going low. And the very last time I had it happen, I was down to 1/8 of a pill of one of my blood pressure medicines, and it was too much. Yes. That's how much it improved mine. And I used to be up in the 170s and 180s up at the upper range at one time.
So your physician worked with you and took you off those blood pressure pills?
No, I took myself.
So you slowly type.
They have a purpose for you not getting there, shall we say?
Yeah.
So I had to basically do this all on my own.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a great job getting to know your your body, your health, the way it works, and how to help yourself. And it sounds like you're more and more in control of that every day. So it's a very empowering thing to see.
My studying so far, I've put in between 1,500 to 2,000 hours at a minimum. And it continues going on today. I didn't stop learning. I'm still studying the stuff. And out of it, I keep learning more.
That's right. There's just so much to learn about the body and our health.
Yeah, but it's great because you almost become an evangelist for it.
Oh.
Because you know how good it is. You want to tell people, you want to try to help them. I had both. I had within my wife and my family, we had her mother, her brother, both died of brain cancer. And my stepfather-in-law, he died of basically clogged arteries and a number of other things, all related back to insulin resistance and PUFAs and all this. And he used to be a fairly big surgeon, assistant head of assistant chief of staff at one time, and a number of other things. But even doctors succumb to the things that we're correcting now, you, I, and other people.
Oh, absolutely. Was that GBM that your family died? Was that GBM, brain cancer? Was it glioblastoma?
My brother-in-law, I'm not sure the exact type, but he had an inoperable tumor on his brain that eventually he was in assisted care homes and all, when they didn't feed him the right food, they didn't give him nutrients, so he kept going downhill. That's what kind of kicked me off into looking, gee, I think there's probably stuff here that could help him, you know. My mother-in-law's tumor, all at once she was having trouble seeing some, and they kept telling her, no, there's no problems and all. And all at once she was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. And within about a year was dead.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss and your wife's loss.
I noticed that you'd had a loss from the same thing too.
Yeah.
And also,
brain cancer show.
I can even see in my parents when they passed away, they still had the same metabolic syndrome conditions.
Yeah.
The whole group of people have.
Well, I want to ask you, what do your physicians think about this? Your cardiologists, and about your improvements and about the way you're taking your health in your own hands?
I think they were amazed, but somewhat they're against it because you don't make money when people are healthy.
Oh.
So I know at times it's going to be a war. That's why I do the blood tests. I'm trying to find more so I can substantiate what I'm saying and back it up. In many ways, in their knowledge of what they know about cholesterols and everything, because they go basically by the American Heart Association, all the different things, they're having to push that it's wrong. So then you're having to fight it. It went from being friendly to now it's kind of a fight, but I'm hardly using anything. You know, I did keep a diuretic around because the damage it done to the back of my legs became kind of a trauma issue because it didn't heal perfect. So it helps me once in a while get a little extra fluid out, but I don't need anything else. I've had basically a lot of people within the healthcare industry, if you explain about it, like nurses and other different ones, think it's really good and all. They can't really say because it's out of the normal parameters of doing their business, let's say. So
yeah,
it's been interesting.
Ansel Keys did a lot of damage.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've done a tremendous amount of studying on that, and even back into ancient times, you know, going back 4,000 or 5,000 years ago and everything, you know. And when you study all this, you're amazed at what has been said versus what's reality is the best way to put it.
Yeah. uncovering the truths.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. And I want to say one thing too. Even though I'm straight into carnivore, I believe in it completely. Starting other people, if you can even get them into keto or whatever, it's a start. If they start out, then they can come in farther.
If you could just get them to stop eating industrial seed oil.
It's hard. I have already found it's so frustrating and hard because people don't want to give up what they think they like. But when you finally break it and go to the other like carnivore foods and everything, it's so much better. Because I can guarantee you the steaks and everything I make are so rich in butters and different things of this nature that they're just total richness and stuff. And
I'm happy that you have found your way, and I think that the way that you share and you're generating your body and your health is just I'm sure just as impressive to your friends and family. So
oh yeah, a lot of people haven't seen me for a while been shocked.
Yeah,
I mean it's because if you kind of look, I don't know if she gave you the picture of what I used to look like, but to what I look like now, I don't almost look like the same person anymore. And yeah, and I just feel so much better and everything. My wife's slowly converting over to water and stuff. She's working on it. Okay. And we're doing really good considering our age and all. And I don't get colds. I don't get flus. If I bang my arm hard and it hurt, within 5 minutes, it's gone. I mean, these are things that are amazing, but I know going through the whole transitional period, the hardest thing sometimes is the psychological part, because you're feeling things you've never felt in your life. If it's losing your appetite or not having the pain, or your balance naturally, your weight changes so much, you're reestablishing balance of your body and everything. And sometimes the hardest part is just getting over the psychological going, this is okay, this is good, but it seems like it's wrong. It's like all at once when you start not pooping as much and all. First thing you're thinking is constipated. Well, you're not. Your body has gotten so efficient, it's not putting out waste hardly at all. And that's very important to have that colon very clear and get the gut healed up and all these different things that you just feel so amazingly different is the only way to put it, as you know, too. It's just, you can't believe it hardly.
I think it's very exciting and inspiring to hear your story, to hear how much more resilience you have and how you're sort of bouncing back from some really difficult times.
Yeah, the funny thing is, by going through it at the time, the major things I went through, it didn't bother me that bad because I was starting to feel better at the same time these things were happening.
That's right.
Even going into surgery, I didn't have this big panic about living or dying or anything.
You just felt better. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I just, but I'm sitting there talking to the nurses beforehand. They thought I was going to go on low sugar and everything for those days before the operation and all. And I knew my body was just generating its own sugars, what they were seeing. And I was sitting there some of the days calling out what the next number was going to be when they checked my blood sugar.
Great.
And stuff. I got as low as in the 40s and got up to about 100 and something, or 100, right over 100. And it was just my body developing what sugar it needed to feed the certain items in the body that need sugar and can't use ketones or other stuff. And it was so simple sitting there just doing this, but it's the understanding that it was now the sugar had no meaning in where I was getting my fuel from. It was all fat that I was generating it from.
Well, thank you, Gregory. I think this will be great information for people that are all along the same path as you, or dealing with some of the same issues that you are.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I hope. And there's even a couple people I've worked with a little around here by actually donating books to them about, you know, different stuff like Ben Beckman's, you know, Why We Get Sick, or Sean's book, or other different ones, to try to get them on the path, even at an earlier age.
What part of the country are you in?
I'm in Oakland, California.
Oh, we're neighbors.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm up in Sonoma County, so we're
Okay, yeah, my wife has some cousins and different stuff up there in Sonoma and everything.
Yeah, I'm in Sebastopol. So nice to meet
Not
you.
far away.
No,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
at all. Not an hour away or something.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Well, I
thanks.
have a number of friends up there too.
Well, thanks again, Gregory. It's really nice to meet you, and it's really great to hear your story.
Yeah, thank you very much too for the opportunity.
Yeah. So carry on with your health and your learning.
I shall.
Thank you.
Join Revero.health for a 30-day free trial to get access to live Q&A with VIP guests, social community meetings, member discounts, low-carb healthcare providers list, forum, workouts, monthly challenges, early access to podcasts, recipes, carnivore diet guide, fasting guide, shred guide, and much more.